Welcome back to the Talos of Tech podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike, Randy, welcome. How are you guys? How's life?
Randy has a window on his shoulder.
I'm really trying to get this glare off of me, and I just stopped. Anyway.
Is that your St. Patty's Day green? Does that count?
That's right. Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. For at least
we're recording on St. Patty's, but yeah.
Happy post St. Patty's Day. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's Randy's
Day. I hope
day.
everyone got pinched
because Randy is short and he likes green.
And I'm an Irishman.
Hey, I'm the redhead here, so
yeah.
Come on.
That's racist. Cancel. We're not in for not even a minute.
No, it doesn't work that way, Randy. I don't make
not
the rules
anymore.
Yeah.
You've got a little green, Mike, so you're free. But
no pinching me.
Apple's. Speaking of green, this kind of ties back to
what a transition.
Randy's question about T-Mobile versus Mint Mobile.
Oh dear Lord!
Seems like Ryan's been making this decision for all of us behind the scenes.
Well, I know you're not coming to T-Mobile yet. You still got a year. You just renewed, but
it's kind of not up to me now. It's kind of up to whatever they decide. But I want to hear your guys' takes on it. Do you think that that's like okay behavior, or is that the type of thing you wish kind of antitrust would step in about, like big carrier merging with Sprint, buying Metro, buying Mint, buying Ultra, like just these big carriers that keep acquiring all of their competitors, basically?
Well, I vibed with the words that you put in your video on it with just these antitrust people.
I'm glad I vibed.
They're so focused on Apple. And yet we have like all these MVNOs just being sucked up by T-Mobile. It's like, okay, well, what's the point then in trying to like start your own business in regards to like providing services like wireless services or just phone services when you're just going to get bought out by T-Mobile? Maybe that's the goal these days. I'm not too sure. I don't think that was the goal.
Just get bought out.
Yeah, I don't think that was the goal for Mint Mobile, but
didn't feel like it.
No, but we're at this point now where it's just and it's inevitable that you just get picked up, and it's kind of a bummer because I was interested in Mint Mobile and T-Mobile, but now this has kind of soured the taste in my mouth that they've kind of combined, or at least T-Mobile has taken Mint Mobile in, and now it's like, okay, well, I was kind of excited with like Mint or T-Mobile making deals with SpaceX with like satellite communication, like calling nowhere. But realizing that T-Mobile is just becoming this giant gelatinous mass of MVNOs and is always extending its tendrils out and grabbing whatever it can, which I guess makes sense for a business because you want to grow. But it's at a point where I'm like, it's not really the little guy anymore, and it's now just become it's become kind of like the Thanos to the Avengers being. I mean,
they got all the stones.
Yeah.
All the MVNOs are on his gauntlet.
Where you've got like Captain America, AT&T or whatever, and you've got Iron Man, Verizon Wireless. Both have their shortfalls and all that, but it's kind of
Hulk is U.S. Cellular or something.
Smash. It just makes me. I don't know where to go now because I've been thinking about leaving my current carrier, and I don't know where to go anymore. Which I guess makes sense for, I don't know, just trying to consider where to next. But at the same time, I don't know where anymore. So I'm a little bit.
How does Randy feel as the official T-Mobile representative on the podcast?
Yeah, I should have got the sweater on. Dang it! I should have. Well,
didn't they give you a shirt as well?
St. Patty's.
They gave you like a shirt.
I got a shirt. Yeah.
They're gonna acquire Randy next. That's their next acquisition.
Hello there. Hey, hi, Randy there. Randy here. Randy there.
Randy everywhere.
Randy everywhere. And here at Randy Vasquez Channel, we are always looking at new ways to get sponsored, get sold out. I was pulling up the stock while you were, giving your take, Mike. I went to go pull up the stock to see how it performed, and it looked like it did well. And then yesterday it dropped. It just dropped off. I was like, well, well, people don't seem to be all that interested in it. How do I feel about the acquisition? I honestly, to be more nuanced about it, I don't think it really mattered either way about it, because Mint was always ran on T-Mobile anyway. So, like, T-Mobile owns the towers that they were going off of, and the differences, instead of them getting a monthly or annual, check by Mint for it, and like, we'll just buy you out. That means Mint must have been doing something right. I don't think it's as nefarious as that, like, Mint is just trying to, or T-Mobile is trying to, clear up the battlefield, so to say. And I don't think it's nefarious on Mint's side to just be like, ooh, easy cash grab. I remember seeing Ryan Reynolds do the same thing when he bought Aviation Gin. He sold it to a bigger conglomerate of like spirits and liquors and stuff like that. And he is no longer the majority owner, so to say, of Aviation Gin, but he's still an investor in it. So he still has a huge lump sum of his own, money in the company. He's just not the owner anymore through the financial terms of it. Same with Mint. He is still heavily invested in it. He's just not the primary anymore. So I suspect that, Ryan Reynolds is being an entrepreneur. He is, in his versions, buying low, selling high. He bought Mint when it was not that much. He helped put Mint Mobile on the map, and he put in that what do you call it? Equity sweat. He put in the time, the labor, the marketing.
Swequity is the legal term.
Yeah, good on him, because that was all his doing, and he found a suitable buyer, which happens to be the parent, company of the network or the towers that they were using anyway. I don't know if this is going to be as impactful as we might think it is, because Metro by T-Mobile is still Metro. It's its own thing. You look at these almost like Cricket is still under, I think, like AT&T. Visible is Verizon, and Invisible is owned directly by Verizon.
Yeah, they don't let you forget it. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. So if anything, it's going
by Verizon.
They will keep Mint Mobile, I suspect. We're speculating here, but I suspect they'll keep Mint Mobile as is. Keep it the premium value. Like here is the most value conscious plans we can offer that are prepaid up front. So you treat it like a Costco or a Sam's Club, where it's a wholesale. You're going to buy in bulk, and this is the big value bulk plans that we offer. But if you want access to like our T-Mobile Tuesdays, if you want to get
we've been using those, by the way.
Good. As you should. I got Sam's Club membership this week for $20. So because of T-Mobile Tuesday. So we're trying that out for a year, and I think we already got our money's worth just by the shopping that we did, because there's a Sam's Club closer than a Costco. So anyway, I don't think much is going to change. Metro didn't change, and I was curious how that was going to go. At the time, Boost Mobile didn't change, and that was owned by Sprint. And I don't think it wasn't until the merger. Like, what happened with Sprint and T-Mobile, that was its own thing, because that was a major carrier with its own towers, with its own everything. That has a bigger impact that involves when you're asking about, having like the feds intervene and stuff like that. That type of stuff should be micromanaged, fine-tooth comb, and really make sure all that's really up to snuff, so to say, because I felt like that had a bigger ripple than these smaller. Like there's nothing proprietary about Mint Mobile. They just found a way to do business And if anything, this tells you how much money T-Mobile really makes based off of just their towers and stuff like that.
I'm sure they make a ton.
There was nothing proprietary about Mint. What was proprietary, if anything, I'd say maybe the UI, but they didn't do anything that T-Mobile couldn't or don't do in their own right. They just had a different business model about it.
They were all about prepaid wholesale, buying a year at a time, and
which is
the account management stuff.
They're able to theoretically roll those savings down to end user. The more you buy, the more you save. The more you buy, the more you save. Mm-hmm. And then you get little gimmicky things like, hey, cool, we're going to send you a postcard for Christmas, or you're going to get a voicemail from Ryan Reynolds. And that stuff's like cool. That's just cool PR. The cool, like, hey, some people spend millions of dollars for the Super Bowl ads, but we decided to just take out a page in the network and reuse last year's ad to save some money and roll those savings to you. And that's just cool. That's cool marketing. Kudos. But at the end of the day, the service that's being provided, there's nothing proprietary about it. It's a carrier. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think they're gonna kill it off. If anything,
I hope not.
Let's push the boundaries for a second. Maybe at worst or best, depending on how you look at it, they're gonna find a way to merge Metro and Mint. Maybe there'll be a merger in that sense, since they're both kind of prepaid. It depends what T-Mobile wants to do with it, because it's all their money anyway. It's all their subsidiaries. I'm more interested to see how customers will be affected that bought like that 20-year plan.
Yeah. I'm really curious about that. I bet if I paid for that plan, I'd be sweating bullets right now. I'd be really nervous. I'd feel like, what are they going to do? Are they going to change the terms or make it worse, or refund you? Maybe at worst they could do that, since it's not too many people. They could just reimburse you the difference based on how many years you've been on it. I think it's like not even 2 years old. Maybe it's 2 years old, but yeah, it's got me all questioning like what the future has in store, because it's owned by basically what a lot of people. That's what all the comments were saying on the videos I was watching. It was like, I left T-Mobile because I was fed up with the prices and the customer service for Mint, and now it's all coming back. So they're worried that this was just T-Mobile's like,
you die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
That's what my cousin texted me after I posted the video. He was like, you should have said, that's not Deadpool. That's a different character. But the other question I wanted to ask you was, and I think Randy kind of already answered it, but do you think Mint did this out of like necessity, like their business wasn't going the way they thought? Because I don't know if I talked about it, but they redesigned the referral program a couple, like 6 months ago or so, to make it less a good deal. Mm-hmm. Before, you recommend like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and every time you recommend another person, you get more credit, and by the 5th person, you get like $110 worth of credit, and you could max it out to like 10 referrals per year, and that equated to like $480 worth of credit. Whereas end of last year, they changed it to, okay, you only get a certain amount of referral credit based on what the referrer person signed up for. So if they signed up for the cheapest plan, you get less credit than if someone signs up for the highest plan, and it maxes out at 4 people, not 10. So maybe that's just them being smart because it was probably way too good a referral program anyway. Mm-hmm. Or maybe similar to what some people were theorizing about the Bobby Bonilla plan was that, they're asking for 25 years worth up front, which means really high margin today, but not so great margin down the road when you have to keep promising that service 25 years from now. You're still going to be. So that's usually a sign of what companies, I don't know if you remember back in like the 80s or 70s, there were some airlines on the brink of bankruptcy, and they were offering lifetime passes. They just needed money fast, so they offered lifetime passes to help get them out of bankruptcy that were like hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they still ended up losing money on them in the long run because there's people flying first class as much as they wanted. Back and forth. They were people going to Europe for lunch and back the same day and stuff. So I wondered if was Mint in trouble, and this was just was this their idea for better get bought out than to go under? That would at least prevail in us keeping our customers and hopefully still offering at least the $15 a month plan. We'll see what happens to the other plans. But was this T-Mobile's idea of we just need to get our customers back, and Ryan just felt yeah, I like the sound of that. Sounds good to me. Or was Mint in trouble and they needed this buyout?
Well, I'm not familiar with Mint's quarterly earnings and what they get.
Me neither.
But
yeah.
as far as
they're a private company,
right? I guess so. At least from the outsider's perspective, where I'm just some dude who hears them on the news or from Drew and all that, it seems like they're pretty frugal with their choices in regards to they're not setting up their own towers. They're just having T-Mobile. They're piggybacking off of T-Mobile. They're offering
no stores.
No stores.
No brick and mortar location.
Decent plans and all that. They're cutting out a lot of fat that's there for a lot of other cellular companies. So it's tough because it's that balancing scheme of, they cut all that fat out, but they also offered some really good deals. Some that, like you said, Drew, were racking in some pretty good referral credits for you. So at that point, you're don't even use mine, use someone else's. I don't need it anymore.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter now. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
it's
matter.
It's all maxed out.
True. So at least I'd like to think that this was mainly just an opportunity that arose where T-Mobile's hey, we want to buy you out. Here's the number, or you write the number, and there we go. Take it or leave it. If you leave it, then good luck. But at least that's what I like to think. Otherwise, it would be a bummer if they were that much in danger, or at least that's what they forecasted for themselves with all their plans that they offered, the 20-year plans. They're we're not going to be able to financially recover from this. So they end up just...
They're sell the plans now and then sell the company a couple of years later.
Maybe that was their grand plan in the end, and Ryan Reynolds was just there for the ride for a short time. So it could be that. I don't know. What do you think, Randy?
I have one more nuanced thought. They were not in trouble. Okay. And when did you say the referral changed, Drew? How many months ago? 6 months?
I want to say it was October of last year or somewhere.
I guarantee that is an acquisition.
Probably my fault they changed
an acquisition no, if anything, I blame someone like Stenson with all his cool videos he does with he did some pretty cool. I knew about Mint.
That was the nicest insult I've ever heard.
No, I blame him because I knew about
I blame
Mint
him
through
for all his amazing content.
Yeah, because he did cool coverage of them years ago. Simultaneously, as I was learning about that company, Ryan bought it, and I was like, "Oh, look at that!"
That's when I first heard about them. I had family members that were already on Mint. And they were like, yeah, it's really cheap. It's only $15 a month. And I was like, yeah, it probably sucks or something. And then I saw Ryan Reynolds buy it, and he started doing the commercials. And I was like, okay, I trust Ryan Reynolds. I trust that man with my life.
Have you not learned anything from crypto? Don't trust celebrities.
Celebrities always have our best interest in mind.
Right?
Clearly.
Yeah, because that $1 billion is rolling down to us, right?
Yeah. I was like, I like Deadpool. Yeah. I could try Mint. I guess,
so, check this out. I guarantee T-Mobile was in talks and they were negotiating long before October. Guarantee that. That's not something that happens from October, November, December, January, February, 5 months. That does not happen in 5 months. Maybe things were getting finalized by then, but at any point...
maybe that's why they changed it, is because they wanted to make it something that T-Mobile would be comfortable continuing.
No, because Sprint didn't change course of nothing. They were acting like they were their own thing after the merger had already been announced. They said, join now, $15 a month, bring a line for like they were pushing promos just as heavy, and they were like, and the CEO went out. I remember I know so much about T-Mobile strictly because I'm an investor. I have a lot of stock in them. I've had it for years and years, and I was fascinated to experience that. The Sprint T-Mobile was my first merger I got to experience as an investor because I had Sprint stock as well for like some of it was kickbacks or something. So I wanted to see how that all kind of correlates. So that was my first exposure in the investing field. What did that look like as a shareholder? But Sprint was business as usual because what they don't tell you out loud because it's not good PR is at any point all the way up until the filing's done, at any point it can fall through. And if it looks like the company you're doing your business with, it's like, it's not our problem no more. And then you find out it's still your problem. That's worse for the company than it would be to just go business as usual. Because if anything, if I'm buying Tailosive tech, the last thing I want you to do is, like, I'm buying you for a reason. It better be daily videos Monday through, I want my content I want a seamless transition. Don't start dropping the ball. Not my problem no more. It's Randy's problem. Don't give me a mess because that's gonna tick me off, right? You want it to be as smooth of a baton passing as possible when it comes to mergers, acquisitions, and stuff like that. Business as usual because it's all at the end of the day, it's all about revenue moving in and out. So I don't think all that was a long-winded way of saying I don't think the referral changed because of them trying to get bought out. What I do think, and I've seen this happen time and time again, it was always going to change because those referrals were so good. Because what's the purpose of referral? We talked about this with Aptera. It's to market
to grow
shit, like
quick.
Let me get you in. Then they start slowing it down. Okay, wean them off that drug a little bit. Slow it down a little bit. Slow it down. And you don't just cold turkey.
The first one's free.
That's right. You don't cold turkey that because then people riot. So you start to wind down. It's never. Name the last time something got better with age when it came to bonuses.
Oh.
Let me finish, Mike. Somebody's drinking the silly juice again.
You don't know what's in this cup.
I don't. And you don't know what's in this. It's Russian water, the vodka.
There's water in this.
They were always going to wean off on it because they were doing such amazing referrals for so long. They have to wean off on that. That's not sustainable. You can't do those types of referrals forever.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide if that's a better answer, though. Neither is a great scenario because it means that, okay, Mint was doing fine, but in my head that means, okay, then they didn't need to be bought out. This was purely just a financial gain for investors / Ryan, who I love, and I hope this means Deadpool 3 will have a great budget and everything. But, like, he could pay for Deadpool 3 out of pocket. Like, he doesn't even need
You're too close, Drew. It's not about Ryan.
Hey, don't give him a little bit of leniency. He's got all these postcards straight from Ryan Reynolds on his refrigerator.
I know.
He's got.
That's why
we talk all the time.
He's so skewed from it. It's strictly It's strictly business. He's still involved with the company. Ryan is more than an actor or a producer or an investor.
He's
a human.
He's a man.
He's a human. Is he? He feels pretty godlike. He feels pretty godlike. At the end of the day, look, how long has he been running? How long has he been running Mint? How long has he been running Aviation Gin? How long has he been a soccer owner?
I know he's still there. I'm just saying I would have preferred if Mint stayed independent and was not acquired by one of the big three so that they could be the non carrier that just continues to be lean, whereas now it's like, why would T-Mobile do this unless they had some plan to mix things up a bit, just to make their regular plans feel like a better deal or to suck the profits out of their customers that they lost? It's like it makes me feel more icky about it, whereas before it was like, yeah, no more T-Mobile. I got you, the real consumers carrier over here, and I'm supporting them rather than.
Would you have felt better if Comcast bought them?
No, but my point is I don't want anyone to buy them. If they were doing fine and they weren't in financial trouble, why sell? Like, why?
Business.
What was the motivation?
Ryan's getting old. If he's sole owner, and I don't even know if he is sole owner. He's
not. I think he's a large shareholder, but I don't think he's the sole.
It was maybe it's put to a vote. It could be one of those things that it's out of his hands. If he's not sole owner and he has other like angel investors or whoever who has like a large percentage as well with him, that maybe individually Ryan might have a say one way or the other, but collectively if they're like, hey, let's talk about taking some of the stress off of it, because at the end of the day it's still a company, and these guys, it sounds like these investors have their hands in other. I just named off a few other things that Ryan Reynolds is doing. Maybe he can't allocate all that time, all the time for there. And who's to say with these other guys that are not, we call them non-Ryans, who's to say that they're not busy as well, the non-Ryans.
Non-Ryans out there?
And it's just,
thought it was all Ryans.
Let's just alleviate some of that stress. I know what you want, Drew, but in a capitalist society, I don't know if we can.
Capitalism.
I don't think we can have our cake
Joker
and eat it.
Makeup on.
We live in a society.
We're living in a society. Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, it's not the worst company to buy them out, because I'm already a T-Mobile customer.
I love T-Mobile.
I'm not.
But
But
it's not my first choice either.
Are you worried that this might just become what happened to Beats when Apple bought them out, where Apple bought Beats and then started kind of selling them as like their low priced alternative to AirPods and all
Here's
that?
Here's AirPods and here's something else.
Trash.
Do you think that's what's basically going to happen with T-Mobile and Mint Mobile? Where Mint
I
Mobile
feel like that
like,
has to be
here's trash,
the long-term,
and here's premium.
Like, okay, we talked about Mint's perspective. Are they in trouble? Are they not? Or did the shareholders just say, hey, we'll make a decent profit, let's sell, why not? For one, to me, that goes against like what the identity of the company was kind of founded on, was to try to
fool.
It's all about money.
You fool.
That's when it's like, okay, you're no longer. Well, we did that joke already, but T-Mobile.
Just beat the dead horse.
What was their motivation? They, at their perspectives, thought that 1.35 billion. Yes, that's a good deal. For this, why do they think that's a good deal? Because they see profits, or they see a way to rope customers back in to where they originally lost them. Which is, I guess, why I'm against it, is because I think the beauty of the free market and competition is you have companies trying to offer better services, better products, and by offering lower prices, that's why people left. They were like, I don't want to pay these big expenses anymore with the big three carriers. I'm going for the little guy because Mint is being more lean. They don't have the brick and mortar. They're trying to be more online. They're trying to be more efficient. They're supporting prepaid. So it's like there was an attempt. There was an approach to cut costs. Like, how can you run a carrier more efficiently? There's that efficiency thing again. Aptera of carriers. You can't shake your head when you've got the visor on, Mike. That's you're sporting the merch.
Now you just look silly.
I got this.
That's just lazy writing.
Well, that's
that was my reaction when I saw T-Mobile. Well, that's just lazy writing. But like, there was a company trying to be efficient and clever with how to run the business to pass the savings on to the consumer. I was like, good idea. I like that approach. And now the big bloated carrier was like, rather than try to win customers back by offering better deals or lowering prices or better T-Mobile Tuesday, whatever it is. Tacos, come back, please.
You could have Mobile Mondays now.
And
I'll be a customer of both, so Mondays and Tuesdays I get something.
There you go.
Then we'll have Whataburger Wednesday
Drew,
or something.
Can I think where my disconnect about the thing is that I don't think Mint and T-Mobile are that different, because T-Mobile campaigned themselves when they were the smaller of the four as being the uncarrier. That was the big thing with John, whatever his name, running the company. He was like, we're the uncarrier.
I remember that marketing term, but
it was. But the thing is, it was true. It was the first time that I left AT&T that I was with for maybe 15 years. And partly because at one point I got grandfathered into an unlimited data plan back when unlimited was not a thing. T-Mobile brought that back. T-Mobile brought Verizon and AT&T up to modern terms of what a plan structure could look like in the early 2010s for a unlimited plan. They pride themselves on no hidden taxes. It's a flat rate, and what you see is what you get. Are you laughing at me, or are you laughing at?
No, I was just like, I was visualizing Verizon and AT&T, because to me those are like the super bloated, ultra
they're
terrible.
Extreme.
T-Mobile's the lesser of the three evils, but they're still not great. So I was like, Verizon and AT&T are like Stalin and Hitler.
Oh, jeez.
T-Mobile is like...
What, Trump?
I was going to say Putin. But
I could do Putin. Yeah, we could do Putin.
The T makes more sense. You could fill it in.
We're going to bring these carriers up to modern day, folks. Believe me. Okay. I look at these plans and they got hidden fees. They were terrible plans, folks. I look at these and nobody saw worse plans.
Was like Jimmy Carter.
No, Sprint
Don't you dare
is Kim Jong-un.
Joke about that angel.
He's not gone yet.
You know,
I love Jimmy Carter. I just didn't know he was alive.
He is.
Okay?
He still is.
I'm going to miss him.
At least for as long.
That man earned his Nobel Peace Prize. Something controversial.
I was just laughing because I was like, AT&T and Verizon aren't even like up for debate to me. Like those are just...
They're terrible.
Get out of here. T-Mobile's better, but still not great. I had a terrible experience with T-Mobile about a week ago. I don't know if I told you guys that story, but...
No, fill us in.
Okay, so I'm a home internet customer, and I've had the service we're at the 1 year mark, and I've had auto pay on because you get the $5 discount, and I used it with the same Apple Card. It's been the same credit card the entire time. Nothing's changed. But one day I get an email that says auto pay failed. And no idea why. Same credit card as always. No other. I have auto pay on all of my utilities and stuff. Nothing else failed. It was only T-Mobile. They were the sole person that, for some reason, auto pay stopped working. So they said, auto pay has been deactivated. So I opened the app. I set it up again the exact same way. Here's the credit card. Here's how you bill it. And it's like, okay, I got it. You're good. So auto pay was on. It was probably off for about 5 minutes, maybe less, quick considering how quickly the email showed up, and then I reset it up. And I was like, okay, cool. I fixed it. Whatever. They had a glitch or something. And then the following month, T-Mobile home internet's supposed to be $50 a month. I get a bill for $112 from T-Mobile. And I was like, what? I was like, that's not right. What the heck happened? So I reach out to customer support through the iMessage T-Mobile thing, because that's how I like the iMessage integration with businesses and stuff. So I text them. I'm like, why is the bill 112? And they were like, well, for one, auto pay was deactivated, so you lost the $5 discount. And because that auto pay failed, we didn't bill you for that month. Even though I instantly reactivated auto pay like 5 minutes later, they were like, oh, but we didn't charge you, even though the bill was due like the next day, and there was an active credit card on file and auto pay was activated and turned on. They didn't charge the card, and now overage fees were applying because they said, well, you didn't pay the bill. And I was like, this is a failure on your part. So they're like, here's all these overage fees, and it racked up $112. And I was like, I didn't change anything. Like it was a system failure on your end, and now you're charging me for your own failure because I know there's nothing wrong with this card. It works everywhere. So I kept telling with him, I'm like, I've been a consistent customer. It's not like I was trying to delay my bill or something. And auto pay was on and everything. I was like, can you just remove these fees and I'll just pay the $50? Because like they weren't even texting me or emailing me that there was a late bill. They weren't notifying me. They were like, let's just hope he doesn't check and let the bill get higher. And they were sending texts to like the gateway, which has its own separate phone number, but no one looks at those. You don't get notifications for those. You have to like go on the little screen And I went in there later and it said, oh, the late fee. And I was like, why wouldn't you text the actual, or at least email me that it wasn't going through? Again, I don't know why it's not going through. You have a card on file. So it felt like they were intentionally trying to see, let's not tell him that it's late and see how many late fees we could get. And the guy I was talking to was saying, no, those fees are justified. I can't remove them from the system. And I was pulling the whole, okay, let me speak to your supervisor. And he's like, no, my supervisor's going to tell you the same exact thing I'm telling you now. So I was really mad, really annoyed, because it was like, I didn't do anything wrong, but you're penalizing me for it. Mm-hmm. So I was like looking at Starlink all over again. I was like, oh boy, here we go.
This is why you gotta. This is why y'all irritated with T-Mobile, because of your little home thing. You know what? Next time they say my supervisor's going to tell you the same thing, like let me hear your supervisors tell it to me. Then.
That's what I said. Yeah, I told him that. I was like, I still want to talk to him, and he was like, okay, he's busy right now. He can call you the next couple days. And I was like, well,
days.
You need to tell me when, because I'm not going to be available to take a call. And so it was just not being very understanding or supportive, and he would not budge even on the auto pay fee, even though auto pay was off for like 5 seconds. So the happy ending is I was like, okay, maybe I just need to get someone on the phone, which I hate doing, but the texting wasn't getting anywhere. So I called their direct home internet rather than just T-Mobile customer service. I called directly the T-Mobile home internet support line. And it took about 5 minutes to get a real person. And I explained to him, hey, autopay was on, it stopped working, and now I got all these fees. And he was like, oh, that's really annoying. I'm sorry. I'm just going to waive the whole month then. So they waived the fees, and they gave me a free month of service. So
see, Drew,
that took 10 minutes, but I'm still annoyed with the difference of policy between the support. Like, I feel like I shouldn't have to call someone if one customer service department is told one thing, no, don't let them waive any fees, that's not allowed. And another customer service is like, yeah, just waive the whole month, who cares? It's no big deal. It's like, there's no cross collaboration. It's like, I'm glad they figured it out in the end. I think if they didn't waive the fees, I maybe would have canceled entirely just out of principle, because I hate that business mindset towards it. But so I'm still on them, and I don't plan on switching away, but it's just weird, like corporate bloated business things like that drive me nuts.
I agree with you.
Okay, I texted that guy for like an hour telling me that there's nothing he can do, and I wasted all that time, and I could have. I guess that's my advice to T-Mobile home internet users. If you have a problem, call the direct support line. Don't use regular T-Mobile customer service. They don't know what to do.
Hate when there is there's inconsistencies, and it's based off of who you talk to when it comes to business.
Because it forces me to put in more time. It means I have to keep fighting, because if something does something stupid, I have to just ask 5 different people. I'm only
bringing this up because it's relevant, but I advise people to check out the other podcasts. But I had almost an identical situation with Tesla. Should I walk away from Tesla for it? They haven't got my money yet. I mean, who's to say? But these problems, like I don't like corporate America today for these inconsistencies with them. If they're just going to have some automated system that sets up and decides you're approved for a loan, or your bill is going to get if you can have an auto pay just set up and we're like, oh, well, the system going to say it, and then and it's really making customer support be less relevant. The least you can do with your customer support is have everybody trained on the same page. Doesn't matter what region you call. Doesn't matter what time of day you call. Doesn't matter if they're based in the U.S. or outside of the U.S. It should be the continuity should be across. Like, you're representing the brand that I'm doing business with. You should have the same level of professionalism regardless. And the fact that we have to jump through hoops to say things like, let me talk to the supervisor then. Let me hear it from the supervisor. Okay, well then, what we know as consumers. I'm speaking broadly here, by the way. I'm not emphasizing a specific story, but what we know as consumers is that you make enough stink, you'll get what you want. Because that's just how it is. But
that's why Karens exist.
And the thing is it works. Like, this wasn't a thing 20 years ago. People would be rude to you at a restaurant or at a whatever, and they would just be like, "Oh, that's just how." Like, and you'd be like, "No, it's not." And it took one viral video and so much public backlash. Now every year you're gonna have companies change their profile pic on social media to show inclusivity. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying it has to do with the result of backlash. And I think I've said this before somewhere here. I've definitely said it out loud that these companies are in the business of self-preservation. They don't give a crap about, Black Lives Matter. They don't care because Starbucks did it, but then they got caught refusing service to 2 African-American people. And that blew up so bad the stock fell that day many percentage. And then it quickly bounced back. Like, no, it's fine. Like, it's all about self-preservation. So, and they know that's their weakness. They're in the business. I mean, they should be politicians. I mean, they got the lobbyists, right? They should be because they're all about making you like them. Like me, pick me because I'm the social media influencer, or I'm the famous actor, or I'm the guy who gives you the best deal. And then, okay, fine. I'll give you a try. But the moment something hiccups and like, oh no, that's on you. You're like, oh no. It takes one person. It takes one person with the right amount of pull, and you can have someone like Marquez have a company go under if something was done just a little bit differently, and it shouldn't be out of fear of like someone's pull. It should just be the standard that like this is what we're gonna bill you. This is what it is, and we know it's as simple as like I can waive this or I can unclick. I used to do it for Geico all the time, and I didn't do it because they asked me. It's because I didn't really care about working for the company, so I was like, yeah, you know what? No, you don't have to pay your deductible on that. Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, nah. This feels like a headache for you. And my supervisor would be like, why are you doing that? It's like, because it's good customer retention. Who cares? I don't care. I don't need this job. I'm just here. I'm just here waiting for my real job to start. I worked for Geico as I was waiting to start my job with the government, so I was just killing time. And I was like, yeah, you know what?
Giving out free stuff.
You don't have to pay your deductible. And it's like, Randy, why are you not? That's $500. Like, because it's $500. What's his 6-month premium? Like, his policy's over $600. That's his deductible. The way I see it, no, he's not at fault. I'm waiving his deductible.
Don't tell me about their coverage.
Yeah.
Tell me how you're keeping InsureCare in the black.
No. So I know, just being on the other side of a call center, I know exactly how easy it is for people to do. So I sympathize. I am not speaking on behalf of self-preservation for T-Mobile because I don't really care that much, but it sucks that you had to go through that. But T-Mobile, like, you want that Mint experience because you want what you like, Drew.
We had a bad Mint experience a couple episodes ago too, so but it's all bad, and I know
hear
it's all
you
corporate focusing on themselves, but that's why I'm always for the cheapest one. It
sounds like you
they all suck.
I disagree, because if it was cheapest, you would not have an iPhone, you would have an Android. You want the best.
This is cheaper.
Experience. Well, that one is cheaper. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I would argue that what it sounds to me is that like the smaller the company, the more direct the relationship can be, even if it doesn't have to be a phone call, and the easier it is to navigate certain business hurdles that you don't want to deal with. And unfortunately,
Mint has one app. T-Mobile, I have to use 3. That's just
T-Mobile Tuesday is an option. Don't you dare include that one. That is a choice. That is a choice.
I get the Mint promos straight from the app.
That's your choice to capitalize on freebies. That is a choice, not a necessity. I don't want to hear that.
Like, I just appreciate the simplicity. Like, the whole process of signing up for Mint was way more simple. The whole account management was way easier than T-Mobile was. Download this, and that you have to do this to get that, and you have to, this phone number, enter that, and they do all these crazy processes to get you on. And I just hope it doesn't turn into that, like, we're merging all our MVNOs together, and then we'll take them all back anyway.
What do you mean by that?
stresses me out.
What do you mean? I saw somebody in your video, in your comment, talk about and I saw you say psych right now. I saw that. What do you mean? Elaborate. What do you mean?
Basically,
by
what
merging?
T-Mobile did to Sprint, like all the Sprint customers become T-Mobile customers, and you have to download a new app and port your number over, and now you're at T-Mobile, and there's probably different rates and different prices now with different data. I fear that long term that will happen to all the MVNOs that T-Mobile buys, is that they'll say, for simplicity's sake and to bring the customer a more unified experience, we're going to merge Metro and Ultra and Mint. We're going to put them all under one umbrella, one brand, so there won't be a Mint anymore. There won't be everyone will just go through T-Mobile, and that will allow them to change the prices, change the data offerings, because that's the whole reason we went to Mint, was for the affordability. So if it loses that, then it was, I guess, fun while it lasted. Hey, we got to save money for a few years, but just like Mike's joking in the chat, like he wrote to me, where did that bring you? Back to me, So it feels hopeless when any carrier that gets any kind of traction ends up getting acquired and then merged back. So I'm hopeful that they leave it alone and just let it be for as long as possible. But it doesn't feel like they would buy it with that intention. I don't see why they would bother acquiring it and just leaving it alone with no ulterior motive or no long-term plan for it. Especially that kind of investment is huge. So I'm not sure.
So what I'm hearing is you're hoping for Hugh Jackman to buy out a new MVNO, so that way we can have Wolverine protect us instead of Deadpool.
That would be cool. I would have loved to see that. I'm not saying the actors always want what's best for us. All I'm saying is if there was an MVNO owned by, what's his name? Morgan Freeman, or
I go to the one that Ian McDermott buys today.
Forrest Whitaker. If I saw Forrest Whitaker trying to sell me cell phone service, I would just feel inclined to buy.
I'd probably buy something that Harrison Ford is selling me. Buy it.
Introducing Boogalit Mobile. Boogalit Mobile.
It is on you. It is on you to buy.
There are no lies.
He's talking about
deceptions.
Talking about the other carriers. Lies. Deception. T-Mobile.
You saw what happened. Mint is gone. Reduced to atoms.
You're happy to see the Verizon flag rained across the galaxy.
You will join T-Mobile soon. Every NVMO company will be under the power of the network.
And the acquisition will be complete.
It was I who bought T-Mobile, Mint Mobile. You want to leave me, don't you? I can sense it. Take your account, cancel, and fulfill your destiny.
And I bet Apple will probably never get into the MVNO space, as much as I want them to. There's just too many closed doors.
They're not in control.
Deal contracts.
It's not a controlled environment. I would say you hit the nail on the head. You had a good run with Mint Mobile for all that free crap you got, but so did Ryan. Ryan Reynolds had a good run too. Hey, he's owned it for a long time. I'm surprised he actually kept it this long and he's made it that successful. He has shown celebrities can do good as owners instead of pimping out cryptocurrencies or whatever. Like, you can actually be like a legitimate business, and sometimes it's, cash in your chips and walk away. I think you will. Let's entertain your scenario. Mint Mobile goes away. All of them go away, and let's say that's that comment that was on the video. It all gets under T-Mobile. I don't know if that's a bad thing if they're trying to simplify the lineup. I don't think you care as much as that pushes, because you keep harping on the price. It's the price that matters. If they keep the price, then it doesn't matter what label is on the carrier. It doesn't. It's what's coming out of your pay. Whether it's monthly or 6 month or however that's worked out. At the end of the day, it's the price, and then the service provided. You could pay $15 a month, have terrible service, and be like, well, I'm out. But seeing how you've had Mint Mobile this long and it works, says it will work on the T-Mobile network. I like the idea of consolidating if they do go that route, simply because you were like, I got 3 apps. Why do I have to? I don't know. There shouldn't be 3 apps. There should be one for account management, and I guess T-Mobile Tuesday, but maybe even that should be tucked into the main one. But you should have.
It's a really simple app. It's just like a big feed of promos. I don't think it needs.
I agree. I agree. But the account management app is the only one that really matters, and it should be. It should be as fluid as.
You've seen the Tesla app, right? Like how many things they have in there.
I love the Tesla app.
So many features in one app.
You want your insurance policy and then account management,
service,
all that
charging,
right there.
Yeah,
and it's cool. It's clean. We talk about how we want an Apple Bank app for the credit card and any future high interest savings.
Just be
accounts.
wallet. Just be in there.
Boom, right there, one app. We love the idea of simplicity for the UI purpose of it. And if that's what it takes to get all these things, in line, so to say, I'm okay with it. I will stand and fight the battle with you, though, Drew, that I will be on your side that they shouldn't touch the prices if that's what they're trying to commit to. I would like them to honor the 20-year, the over $2,000 amount that they got. That was an investment given. Hey, at least that money is being put to use, unlike Roadster money or Cybertruck money. Who knows where's that at? At least these guys get a service right then and there. So I would say honor the prices that were there up until, keep them grandfathered in. If you're buying these plans out in bulk, honor the price. Don't just be like, all right, effective June 1, 23, we're shutting all things like that. I will riot with you on those fronts.
Cool. Thank you.
So I guess
now I just have to convince. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess pose a question. Where would you go then if T-Mobile pushed you out because, of course, you've had some of these issues with the home internet, and God forbid this happens if T-Mobile screws things up on the Mint Mobile side with your bills and all of that. If they somehow rope it all into their system or anything like that, what do you do at that point? Are you going to AT&T? Are you going to Verizon? Where are you going?
Stalin? No. I would have to do another search. I would consult Stetson for sure. I would see where I've heard good things about. I've heard people say what are they called? U.S. Cellular. I guess I'd try to go smaller. Try to find an even tinier carrier.
Isn't it the one owned by Walmart?
I don't know who owns it. I've done very little research on this.
Like that.
I was looking at Visible because I know Nick likes them.
Well, that's just Verizon.
Subsidiary of Telephone and Data Systems, headquartered in Chicago. But yeah, I think they have a $15 a month plan. But again, I don't have a lot of hope because I feel like, okay, if we all move to someone else, they're probably gonna get bought out by someone else, and then Verizon's gonna own them, and it's like, okay,
the exodus.
I don't know how to win anymore. If you can't join them, beat them.
I think you have some things mixed up.
So I would keep scoping around for the cheapest possible carrier, I guess.
Straight Talk. That's what I was thinking of for Walmart. Straight Talk.
Oh, that's who. Walmart.
Hey, Boost Mobile's still around. Oh, and Metro. What? Look at these guys.
Yeah, I would scan the horizon. Right now, Mint is still really good, but they said that the deal will close later this year. It's not finalized yet, so
good.
We'll have to wait and see. But them in the announcement video said, we plan on keeping the $15 a month plan, which was not encouraging to me because it was like, okay, so that means that's the only one you're committing to. The rest of the plans, you're like,
well,
who's to
it
say?
could turn into
Maybe
the
it's all up.
situation that's going on with Microsoft and Sony and Activision, where Microsoft's trying to acquire Activision and Sony's putting up a big fight. We could have Verizon or AT&T put up a big fight, say, no, you can't acquire Mint, T-Mobile. Why would you even think about that? And then Europe gets involved, and then everyone gets involved, and it turns into this giant kerfuffle, and who knows what would come out of it. Yes. I use words. Words good.
I know many words, folks. Believe me, I know all the words. I use a lot of the words.
I do word good all time.
I word good. Why word more when less word makes sense? Wait, when less word works well.
Do trick.
You
Yes.
Well, that's what Mike is saying. Like, that's an example of why mobile wouldn't slow down nothing. It's business as usual because nothing's promised until Ryan has the check in hand. Once he has cash in hand and the check clears, that's when it's official. Until then,
once Deadpool 4 gets announced, then
that's
we know.
right. Ryan Reynolds here.
Well,
You did such a good Ryan Reynolds, by the way. I like your Ryan Reynolds here. Hi there. I like
I was trying to
the
capture
cadence.
his comedic style. It's kind of hard, but yeah, it was fun. The CEO of T-Mobile was harder to capture.
It's hard.
He
It's
was
hard to
just some guy.
mimic Mud. He's boring. He tries to do what John does, and it just.
Yeah.
At least John was like at T-Mobile, like he was always so passionate. Wow, we're light years ahead, Dumb and Dumber over here, and we're offering the best. That's what he always called them, and I was like, yep, that sounds about right. This guy just like, I don't know. He's the Tim Cook of. No, because at least Tim Cook has his own Good Morning. At least he has his own thing. This guy is just corporate CEO. Copy paste template.
I was checking to see if, I guess U.S. Cellular, I've never gone on their website. They have home internet, and they say as low as $30 a month, but it's not available in my area. So I was like, darn. That could have been fun.
I'm a fun CEO because I don't wear a button-up and tie. Hey, I'm hip and cool. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about this CEO guy. I don't even know his name.
Now I just need to convince Ryan Reynolds to invest in Aptera so they can get production started.
Ooh, there you go. He's already gone the
Ryan
sports
Reynolds
route.
here.
He's gone the phone route. He's gone the movie route. And the alcohol route.
Hey.
The next
Are
thing
you
is
tired
just
of
cars.
expensive electric vehicles that need to plug into the grid? Well, I found something that's as independent as my wife. And it's going to be powered by the sun, just like sunflowers. And then you put like a rainbow over his head or something. I could see little Ryan Reynolds style Aptera promotions.
And all of a sudden, like, we're sold out. It's like we can't take any more pre-orders. What do you mean? It's a pre-order. Nope.
You reminded me.
T-Mobile buys Aptera.
Because we're on the subject of Aptera. You see those little chargers that you can kind of like adhere to the back of your phone that is a battery pack, but then also has a solar panel on it for like charging if like you're away from a plug. I had to use one of those recently because of the fun weather that we're having here in the Bay. And
a solar charge bank?
Yes. I don't know if I have it. No, it's in the other room.
I've never used that.
Oh.
I imagine it gets very little power.
Yeah, I haven't put it in the sun, but
okay.
I believe it can do okay. But it did provide me electricity when I didn't have it, which was nice. Especially when my phone was running low that day, in particular, because for some reason my phone didn't charge, or my watch. But that thing was a lifesaver. I've never been more grateful for a battery pack on the back of my phone. And it didn't make me consider using it all the time or having it on my phone all the time. But it did make me think, is solar on phones too out there in regards to like.
Yes.
Okay.
No, but go ahead.
No, that was it.
Don't listen to him, Mike.
Well, like,
He's just upset about stuff that has nothing to do with us, buddy.
Well, there's jokes.
Maybe if the phone was super efficient and aerodynamic, had 3 wheels.
What?
No, Louise had a interesting idea though on that very subject, because she was talking about, or no, it wasn't Louise. It was my sister. I was showing her. We were picking up something from a nearby town, and there was a big downhill stretch in the car. And I was showing her. I was like, "See, it's capturing all this energy. All the regen is charging up the battery pack." So at this point, it like the watt hours per mile on the drive was in the negative. So I was like, we actually have more energy in the battery now than what we left the house with. And she was like, whoa, they should do that on phones somehow. I was like, yeah, you just put wheels on the phone and then it rolls down a hill. But she was like, no, just put like a crank or something. You know, have you ever seen those old flashlights?
I have one of those.
Hand crank? Yeah. It's like, what if you built that into it? There's probably a phone case that does that, but
it would make it
that would
very
be kind of an
bulky,
interesting.
because that's a lot of mechanical components you have to keep in. You'd have to. There's this little. I totally forget what the company is called or the product is called, but you guys remember Game Boys probably. Some company made like basically a Game Boy, but it's got a crank on it, and you use it for specific games, and like the crank utilization can change. So like it could be like scrolling the background or something else.
Oh,
but like you can make it.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
Where you could probably put it on a phone, because I think that device is about the thickness of the phone. It's just wide. You just need enough space for the phone. So maybe it would make sense for like, I don't know, a bigger size phone like a Plus or a Max. Or
most phones are pretty big now. Most people are buying the 6+ inches. You know,
so it's not too far out of the realm of reality, just because we already have it right now. So
if only there was some type of phone that had like some type of, you know, magnet capability, but it was also safe, like a, I don't know, MagSafe to do that.
I don't know what you're talking about, but now I'm just imagining Craig and Ryan interacting.
Who's to say?
What a charismatic couple of guys. I wouldn't be surprised if they're related, not too far back, you know. They have similar energy.
What in the royal family are you talking about?
But it's such a good idea. I wouldn't be surprised if
crack
someone's
marketing
already come
team.
up with it.
He's talking about drugs.
Right. But like a phone case that you can crank, because then it would work even if you didn't have sunlight. You know, you wouldn't need to be outside or to put the phone. Solar is just so like, it needs so much space to harness so little energy, which is why solar on a phone, I was thinking like, yeah, you'd probably have to leave it face down in the sun.
Hot. Yeah.
And it'd get really hot, and it would probably not really get that much energy out of it. But a crank, not saying it would get you a lot, but just a few minutes.
Are you guys really trying to nickel and dime PG&E that bad? That you're like, no, it needs to be solar.
You don't know how bad it is here right now.
Clearly, I need to come home.
Has been no, don't come back to the West Coast right now. I'm pretty sure San Diego's underwater at this point.
PG&E's headquarters has had to install a moat because of all the protests around.
My goodness.
Everyone's throwing things constantly, and you know, we've got catapults with fiery projectiles flying in.
You do not want catapults. Those are inferior technology. You want trebuchets.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God.
What did you just call me?
I just suggested that.
Trebuchets. Are you uncultured?
I only know that because of Age of Empires. But either way, a hand crank sounds... I don't know. Someone needs to do the math on that, on how much energy a hand crank on those old flashlights can generate. Like, what would 5 minutes of cranking it grant you to smartphone?
Ask any teenage boy. They'll tell you.
Because they're all nerds watching our podcast.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. So,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying, Drew.
Because as we're getting to the point where
you'll have
SpaceX
great biceps and triceps.
Yeah, you'll get to the point where SpaceX is sending up these new Starlink satellites that can output to cell phone bandwidth. Plus, we have iPhone 14 with satellite connectivity, but you won't even need the iPhone 14 once the T-Mobile Starlink access is happening. It's like you could be out in the middle of nowhere with a phone, with a way to power it, and as long as it has satellite communication, movies like Castaway won't be possible anymore. It just won't work. It's like, no, this phone is water resistant, it has a really long battery, and you can charge it as long as you have a working muscle.
Do you think Tom Hanks, was really friendly with that volleyball?
No, he left them out in the water, remember?
Yeah, but I mean, while on the
it was a terrible storm, and he got whisked away. But there was room on the door for Jack. You can't.
I felt like Tom Hanks was a little too close to that volleyball.
So I got the answer, by the way. If you crank, they can produce about 5 to 15 watts for most hand crank generators.
Okay.
Basically, if you're cranking for 1 minute and you're trying to charge like a 5-volt battery, you're gonna get like 33 milliamp hours per minute. So it's not much, but it's noticeable.
Nerd.
Could it? If we turned on like ultra low power mode and everything on the phone, turn the brightness down, could you get it to like maybe I don't know what that would translate to. 1 minute of cranking is 1 minute of screen on time?
Maybe. You might be able to.
Audience, I am so sorry we are talking about cranking on this
episode. This is how stale...
if you crank it for 5 minutes...
This is how stale Apple is right now. There's nothing much going on.
Yeah, get used to it, Randy, because Apple's not doing it.
It's not me. I'm apologizing to the audience.
All right.
I will say,
if you
in transition / like relation to how crazy the West Coast is, because of all the storms, my Starlink dish has fantastic views now, which I'm getting decent speeds. I'm getting like
good.
Because there's nothing left on your property, Mike. It's all been destroyed. I have amazing.
For context, viewers, there's a tree right next to my house, and it was always an issue. And no matter how much way we cut it, it just would be in the way of the dish. But now, because of all the wind and rain and water and all that, cats and dogs raining on top of it, it's now a clear line of sight.
The perks of climate change.
Hey, we have a winter storm or whatever on the East Coast, and it's like winter storm sage. That's kind of cool. I was like,
what?
Hey.
Oh.
Yeah, we have a winter storm. There's an East Coast, like Arctic winter, whatever. I'm not feeling it, but it's like they have tropical storms and hurricanes. They have names. Our storm thing now its name is Sage. I was like, that's pretty cool. I mean, we're completely off. We're so far gone from tech at this point. I'm just telling you about my life.
I got a good segue. I figured it out.
How much did the segue cost?
Everything. So, speaking of the Earth.
Dude's going to earthquake generator technology.
Hey, do you guys like things? Speaking of things.
Speaking of Earth, there's been a lot of shots of the moon people have been taking.
Oh, dear Lord. Not this.
Woo! Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Spoiler, this is what my next video's on. So I have a very hot take, I think, about it. So
okay.
I wanted to give you guys a chance preemptively. Just pretend you've already watched my video.
Okay.
And now you can weigh in on your perspective on the moon landings.
Best skit you've done so far.
I'm about to call.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Never mind.
First, everything moon is fake related,
You know,
all of these NASA sheep are convinced the moon is real.
And then she's gonna tell me the Earth is round. Sheep.
That's the hot take. It's like, well, all shots of the moon are fake because there's no moon.
We're just a bad iteration of Sims. This is not going our way.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about the moon. That's
so, Mike, while Randy's figuring out how he feels since he's the photography guy, I want to know how many cranks I would have to do on those hand cranks to power an ion thruster to get us to the moon.
I think you're going to be cranking your whole life. There's much more efficient ways to
No, you'll have to crank much longer than that.
Oh, okay. Where are we going with this? So,
I don't know how confident
I'm
either of you were on that subject.
This video is all in relation to the very fun stuff that's being talked about in the tech world, which is cameras superimposing a already existing photo of the moon into your shot, so you're not actually getting your own original content of a picture of the moon on that day of that year at that specific time at your inclination angle that you are.
Well, that's what Huawei was doing. Samsung, which is still being debated right now, is making the phone perform under that circumstance very specifically, with boosting contrast and sharpening edges in a way so that the camera and the algorithm performs precisely for when you're taking a shot of the moon. And the debate people are having is, are they actually adding new imagery, or are they just AI enhance a bunch of times only when you take a picture of the moon, and that's the only case? I think there's some people that are saying they are, and some people that are saying they aren't, but they're still making the camera perform really, really differently under that circumstance. But do you think that's wrong? Or do you think?
I think, yes. Because the point of me going all the way out to the middle of Wyoming, well, actually, that's not really the middle, but to Wyoming in 2017 to put on some sunglasses, some solar blocking glasses so I can see a solar eclipse, and then grab out my Pixel 2 XL to take attempted photos at it and everything around me. The point of that is to capture my experience and what I'm seeing to the best of my ability with the technology that I have. Do I want that assistance of machine learning and AI to like try to superimpose details or like try to enhance details? Maybe, but I think it's to an extent to where I'm probably putting up the stop sign saying, no, don't go any further, because I want a good shot. I want a nice image to show other people like, hey, look what I captured all the way here in the middle of Wyoming. But I want something good, but I don't want something fake, which is kind of tough because it's a very big. It is a large gray area that you're operating in with cameras these days in smartphones, because who knows what you're capturing? Is it real or is it not? I know a lot of the times with the 14 Pro, I know it's real because the phone keeps on switching between macro and not macro. And it's just a headache, but I can definitely tell in between there is a real photo of that flower
the
petal.
Macro.
Yeah, just very much. So I would say there's a limit. I don't think it's clear cut in regards to we shouldn't have it, because I think there's a lot of things that can benefit smartphones with machine learning and all that, with being able to enhance a photo. But
interesting.
I don't think. Again, I'm very much a middle of the road guy, as you can tell from the previous conversation with Mint Mobile, and then also with
the moon is a large gray area.
Oh my goodness.
No. That's a no.
That's low hanging fruit.
We do that outside. That's a no.
That's a low orbiting satellite at this point.
We do take pictures of the moon outside.
Randy, please.
Mike is wearing a lot of gray.
Stop this man. Who thought it was a good idea to start this podcast? I need to talk with him now.
Nick, come on, man.
We'll blame Nick.
Dang it, Nick.
Randy, do
This is
you
all your
think
fault.
that AI should be tampering with the photos that you're trying to take of your son, or the changing of the leaves?
What a way to phrase that.
I reject that phrasing so bad. Speaking of my son, though, it finally happened, guys. I went to go see if Drew posted the video beforehand, and it finally happened. Tell me you're a dad without telling me you're a dad. This is now on my darn recommended home
You were worrying
screen.
me for a second. I thought you were teeing up that Drew uploaded a video of "We're pregnant," but instead,
Yeah, I thought that's what he was teeing up to, which I know nothing about, so that would be very surprising.
No. Now I'm getting full bluey. I don't even know what bluey was until last week.
Your
Me
algorithm
too.
is
Except
changing.
I guess maybe it was 2 weeks ago because I went to a wedding back in my hometown and my sister-in-law had Bluey playing. I'm like, I've heard so much about this show. Why are
I
we
have
talking
never
about
heard of
Why are we
Bluey,
talking
but it
about
sounds
Bluey
like
right now?
Blue's
Hold
Clues.
on, wait.
It's an Australian. I don't know. It's very vibrant in the colors. It's fun. And
Screw
anyway.
Bluey.
So
I hate Bluey.
do you want
I
a
hate
photo? I'm going to send you 2 photos right here. First
Oh,
one,
boy.
the same scenario of Mike saying in 2017, go take the photo. I actually like this photo. So actually everyone can go kick rocks because this is a good photo. And I'm going to use it for something someday. But do you want a photo like that, which is kind of cool? Or do you want a photo like this bad boy? Look at that.
Now I gotta edit.
Look at that.
Okay.
Look at that. Like which one? Like the second photo
see if I
is
can
like
think for
the
mine.
girl or the person she tells you not to worry about. First photo, you. Like
Okay, you know what? I'll be completely honest. I thought the first photo was of the moon.
What?
it's not.
Well, yes, it is. It is the photo of the moon. You have the moon
Well-
right there on the upper left.
You were so insulted by that
Well,
reaction.
yesn't.
But I'm saying I thought I thought it was a poorly lit environment, and he zoomed in on a crescent moon,
Okay.
No.
and that was it lit up.
That's
but it's actually the moon is
eclipse.
dark and the sun is what. Yeah.
Yep. So do you want a photo
So
like
this was-
that one? Or
That was shot on iPhone 3.
that was shot, what was it? 17. So that has
That
to
was
be at
probably a
least
7.
that's the iPhone 7 Plus. It has to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so
iPhone
tuned
7
into
Plus.
this podcast now. Now I know what phone was out at that time.
Welcome to the brotherhood, Mike.
I've
You
been-
finally did it.
After
Dirty May.
whatever, how many episodes? 143?
Yeah.
145?
That had to have
Ooh.
been 7 Plus. So, and then the second photo is actually a professional photo taken. That is
What?
Yeah, that's a real photo.
that photo was actually taken.
I thought that was shot on iPod Nano.
This is that second photo is labeled, like if you Google search it, I think it's like the world's best photo taken or something like that. It has some type of tag to it. Greatest photo ever taken. I think that's what it's called. Greatest photo ever taken. And it's that eclipse that happened in 2017. But
When I get that, I just get a picture of you with your nose really close to the camera.
Eyes going different
World's
directions.
greatest photo.
with the eyes, yeah, that's the greatest photo ever taken. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is the photo I took. It did capture the moment in that time. I like the photo I got of it, but if there was a way to make it look like that with the auroras happening around it, that is, I mean, that's, we so often take terrible photos that are actually like very rarely is a photo actually presented the way it was actually shot. The process.
That'd be such a great line for an Apple keynote. Someone on stage. We so often take such terrible pictures.
We do. And it's
And they have like a slideshow of just Tim Cook at the sport event.
That's
you know, it's all
exactly it.
blurry.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. No optimal stabilization. No A17 processing chip. None of that. If you just took the photo as it was done, it would be bad. The image would be flat, and it would just. We don't actually like what we try to emulate with our own eyes, it never translates well on a screen, ever. Best example, take color science and stuff out of the way. How many times do you see like a beautiful sunset and or like it's going behind like the mountains and you see like silhouette mountains? You're like, these mountains feel so huge and gigantic and I feel so small in the equation. I just want to capture this moment. And you take a photo and it just looks like a bunch of squiggles and you're like, this doesn't look anything like what I'm doing, what I'm at. Because we can't translate what we see in real life the same way. So all these phones, but we're going to talk about Apple since Taylor Swift Tech Podcast, okay? That these processing chips already do some of that on regular everyday point and shoots on whatever we do. They enhance vibrancy on the colors. They make
deep fusion.
Deep fusion. They soften some. Remember when people were getting mad like, my skin is too soft now. I look like a doll, and people were getting. It's already doing that stuff. So to take that a step further about the moon, like on it, that's how little tech news is in the world. Who cares? Like that's how sad the news is. I'm sorry we don't have pictures of the 15 Ultra Pro Who gives a like? Who cares? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you know what a moon is. You know that's on a phone. We're not. I thought you went to the observatory, got onto that camera, straight in the sky, like, oh look, there's the next constellation right there. Snap. That's it. That I'm such an original photographer. No one else has this photo. Boom. Like, what cheesy. I
had the original idea of taking a picture of the moon.
Yeah.
No one has thought of
what cheesy self-motivating post that says, reach for the stars. If you miss, at least you get to the... Like, what silliness are we actually on about with taking a photo of the moon? I'm sorry. Is your photo of the moon the best photo of the moon we've ever seen? No. It's the guy up there on the moon taking a photo of Earth. That's the best photo of the moon. And that's your little whitewashed, bleached out circle and calling that a moon. Like, it's like, it's the same thing as taking photographs or videos of fireworks. Stop it. Nobody wants to see your fireworks. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
You say that because I deleted a whole bunch of photos of fireworks.
Who cares? No one wants to see your crappy photos or videos of fireworks. It doesn't have the same effect. It just doesn't count. It's the same thing.
It'd be better to go into iMessage. He said.
Oh, there we go.
It'd be better to go into iMessage and use the firework screen effect. That way, at least you get the haptic feedback.
That's cool. It's right there. It's in your eyes.
And you get the.
All right. Am I really that passionate about it? I don't. No, I'm not that. I'm having fun with you guys. But honestly, it don't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care.
Okay. Fair enough. I like both of your guys' answers. That was well said.
Oh, Mike, it's beautiful.
Oh yeah. So I captured that there through glasses, I think. It is beautiful both through the eyes and then that photo that I captured. I'm like, okay, this was worth coming out here, even though that it's very grainy. Even seeing it on the Pixel 2 XL's screen, I'm like, this doesn't look great, but it gets the point.
It looks like the black hole photo that went around a couple years ago. That looks like the black hole. But you know what? I like the imperfections. That's what makes it cool. So to your credit, Mike, I like imperfections in photography. Because I don't want the most polished BS lie. Show me, an imperfect truth. That's fine. I like it. That's a good photo. I actually really like that one. Yeah. Since your video is gonna be out by the time this video goes up, Drew, what's your hot take on this whole moon thing?
I think it's perfectly acceptable to fake shots.
Really? Interesting.
I don't have the debate on whether or not Samsung is faking them or whether or not their algorithm is superimposing or not. I'm on the Huawei is right train. I side with Huawei on this one.
Why?
Just because I partially agree with Randy on people take pictures of things too often, especially of things that have been severely and heavily documented already. And in my view, the line is drawn with if you can superimpose something that you know for a fact is there, then it's okay to enhance the quality of the image because it's just using memory as an algorithm to increase the quality or increase the visual. It would be different if they were superimposing something that wasn't there. Like I would draw the line of like you had a picture with a bunch of friends and maybe some of their friends are holding their phones. If Samsung changed the back of the phone to look like a Galaxy instead of an iPhone so that it made your friends look like they had Galaxy phones or Huawei phones, I'd go, okay, you're superimposing stuff that's not really there, so you're altering reality. But the way I see it is like we're already faking stuff all the time in our pictures and videos. The entire invention of portrait mode is a fake bokeh. That's the entire concept is to try to make it look like it's more of a real lens that can capture actual depth, but it's artificially tweaking the image to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. Even though it's not real bokeh, it's not the same thing as a lens that is capturing light differently. It's trying to fake what another camera that's a higher quality can do. Same thing with cinematic mode, which Apple's already been boasting about for years. It's like, how do we try to make it look more cinematic? All right, let's fake blur. It's artificial, but it's trying to emulate something else. So my head, I say, go all the way with it if you know that what they're taking a picture of. We have real people that have taken gigapixel worth images of the moon, like super high quality, like super zoomed in with an insane amount of detail. Especially when smartphones are as boring as they are, and they're so incremental year over year, I say go all out. And sure, you can have an option if people are really bothered by my hot take. If you really don't like the superimpose and going settings and turn off a feature that says don't superimpose anything. But for those who are the casual user that, like Randy said, most people just don't care. They're not thinking about these things. They're just the pinch to zoom, right? Like at the graduation ceremonies, they don't care who has the telephoto lens. Everyone's just doing this, they would rather take the picture again on someone else's phone than airdrop it. It's just that amount of who cares that, okay, if for whatever reason, I don't think, for one, I've never really taken a picture of the moon with my phone, at least. Maybe it's because I have an uncle that does like.
Then.
I haven't really lived, but
do you even nighttime photography, bro?
I don't. It's
or
not
night
on my
shift,
phone,
night
no.
mode, night.
Yeah,
night shot.
There's lots of night features. I don't do that,
Night
but
anyway.
I say if the moon looks really gorgeous one night and you really appreciate it, just soak it in. I don't think that's done enough. I think that the human flaw that smartphones has kind of exaggerated is this need to capture, this need to document. And there's a lot of scenarios where the need to document or the need to pull out the phone actually worsens the experience because
it's like
now
I'm
instead
talking
of
to my
saying,
wife.
wow,
Jeez. Put your
so
phone
many
down,
scenarios. Yeah. She's right.
She is
She's
right.
always right.
That's why
But,
I'm bitter.
How many sweet moments that could have been, wow, the beautiful moon tonight turned into, man, this camera sucks. Like how many situations have been like, whoa, did you see that? That's so cool. Oh, I should have recorded it. It's like regret,
Right.
It's like, oh, I should have taken a grainy pixelated photo to share with my friends instead of just look at it rather than fuss around with the camera app, make sure you're on photo mode versus video, like fussing around with all that. Just appreciate the moment. And the moon is something we have countless, probably millions of high quality photos of from like actual telescopes. Part of the reason I feel this
we're not real original with it, huh?
No. Everyone's just like, oh, I can see it. That's cool. Let me see if my phone can see it. And it can't. It never can do it very well because it's this tiny sensor with a flat lens. And maybe I'm biased because my uncle does like astro
photography
stuff. Mm-hmm. He has like the big a motorized telescope, and he has a dedicated camera with a full-size sensor. He gets shots of like Saturn and Mars and Jupiter, and he gets these really deep and nebulas that are really colorful, and he does the long exposure
Drew,
shots.
NASA
So he's constantly showing me.
NASA already does that. They already take fantastic photos from their observatories. Why does your uncle get to take photos of Saturn and Jupiter and all of that when NASA's already doing it for him? He doesn't need to do that. He's already
because he enjoys it.
Really? Okay, so there's my case then for everyone else. They enjoy taking photos. They enjoy putting a bookmark on their life. It doesn't matter terrible. If they suck, Drew, because the fact that I can go back to 2017 and all these photos that I've got, pick out that specific photo that I did of the solar eclipse, and then share it with people, it reminds me of that moment. It's a nice recollection of, oh, that's right. That happened where I was on a hill in the not really middle, but close to Jackson, Wyoming, watching the solar eclipse. Same with other photos I've taken.
I'm not saying you can't take pictures. I'm just saying I have no issue with altering the picture as long as you're superimposing something it's there. What's wrong with capturing that moment but with a better looking moon instead of a white dot that is
because
really
your brain
grainy.
Fills in what's not there. I mean, yeah, you can superimpose it, but I mean,
what's wrong with the option, I guess, is my question. Like, what's wrong
I would
with
counter
like,
with
okay, if someone's
what's wrong with people having the freedom to take photos of crappy scenes with their
nothing.
Exactly.
I've got no problem with that. I'm just saying, why is it wrong for the company to try to say, let me help you out there, let me get you a better shot if they so want, I'm pretty sure Samsung has a toggle. When I watched MKBHD's video, you can still turn it off if you don't want it to do that, but people are like, oh no, they're faking the shot to make it look better. I'm like, so
sure. I'm a fan of a toggle and all that. I think that's a great idea, but to remove that option entirely to where you want to capture an authentic moment at that time, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on in the background. I understand there's a whole bunch of machine learning going on in the background to try to figure out what the heck.
It's not a very real, where you draw the line at real is not very firm line.
At least
anyway.
It's closer. It's as close to authentic as possible as you can get with the technology that you had at the time. I know, looking back in 2017 at those photos, or Google may have been doing something with the camera at the time that just altered and changed those photos in a way that doesn't make them accurate. But to capture the scene in the best possible way, and by best I mean the most realistic possible way, not altered reality, but what that lens is seeing at that moment, I think is better from separating this digital and reality. What am I trying to say? The reality that we live in,
because it's capturing something that is there. We know what the moon looks like, and you can even know based on, I think you should go all the way. You know, based on the time of when the photo was taken, when the photo was taken, where it was taken. You can figure out exactly the perspective of the moon, whether it's crescent or full or half, even if it's a red moon, they could accommodate for that, build it into the camera app because they clearly got nothing better to do. And you're capturing something that really is there, that you're just capturing more data points than just what the light is capturing, but it's already doing that. I'm trying to tell you guys right now, smartphone cameras are not giving you the raw data out of that lens. It is heavily altered. Even when Apple says raw, there's still machine learning. There's still all kinds of algorithms that they're applying in neural nets. That's why, night mode, that's all neural net training. That's all just tons and millions of photos that they've analyzed and enhanced based on that experience that they're applying to new pictures. So I say, okay, just one more data point is we have a super high resolution file of the moon. And I'd go further. I'd say, why not, just as a show-off gimmicky feature, because that's all phones have these days, if someone zooms into the sun really heavily,
dear Lord,
start factoring in those little solar waves. The alternative is you get a big white picture of nothing.
That's fine.
That's the alternative.
You're not going to be able to see it with the naked eye either. So
you're not going to do that with your naked eye, and no one's going to do that with the feature deactivated. But if someone is crazy enough to say, hey, I wonder what happens if I zoom in on the sun, you know what the sun looks like.
Well, I guess
we have
this is
thousands and thousands of high close photos of it.
What I don't like is it's moving too much into the augmented reality filtered perspective of cameras, in which I get it. This is kind of what technology is building to, because we went from like Sony's, and even before that, like, I totally forget. I don't know the history of cameras, but basically from all those to like now, I get it. We need some help trying to capture the moment, but to replace assets in that moment with things that look better, I don't think makes sense, because even if it looks crappy, you're trying to capture reality. And yeah, there's maybe tools there to try to help capture reality, but that's taking away.
We know that's what it is.
You're taking
proof.
The reality out of the photo in that case, though, because you're not giving an authentic view from what your tech is trying to capture for you. I guess it sounds weird, but
my view is we've left that long ago. That's why portrait mode exists, and that's why cinematic mode exists. It's all fabrication to look like it's a better camera, but it's all fabricated. Same with deep fusion, same with Pixel's always boasting about magic eraser. Go in, erase things. Okay, it's altered, but okay, you got a picture closer to what you wanted. And I'm like, to me, adding the solar flares to the sun so that you could zoom into it, even if it's being superimposed
at that point.
But you know it's there. Like, you're not taking away anything.
I
because
mean, you may have an idea that it might be there, but your camera is filling in, oh, here's some data that I got from NASA this time last year, but that's not accurate to that moment. So it's not even actually giving you accurate data. Like, how far...
What's the alternative? The alternative is nothing, just a big white star in the sky.
Well, yeah, that's the reality. Is
that's
you
all
look
you
up
get.
Into the sky, what do you see? Big, white, yellowish ball that, if you stare at it for too long, hurts your eyes. In which that is our reality. And only with other tools, we're able to look at different color spectrums. So I get that.
This is another tool.
This is not okay. This is a tool that is going in the wrong direction. This is taking a hammer to a screw versus a Phillips screwdriver to the screw, versus what you're doing right now is, well, what you had before, which is a flathead to the screw. I think this is detrimenting photos.
How so?
Because going back to what I said before, it's adding too much augmented reality to what's there. And I get your perspective that we left reality long ago, in which
night mode is all augmented. That's not capturing what your eye sees.
You mentioned that it isn't what your eye sees, but it is on a different color spectrum.
But you know it's there.
There's a difference between color spectrum and adding things that weren't there, that is not color spectrum, but more of actual assets that you're adding into it. So that's where I draw the line, is once you're adding things that aren't there, like, oh, yes, here's a...
But that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying adding things you know are there. Adding things... I would draw the line there, too. I wouldn't be in favor of them adding things that aren't there, but we know exactly what the moon looks like from decades of photography, and we know very, very
things change all the time
what the sun looks like.
There's many different meteors that hit the moon on a monthly, yearly basis.
But your phone is never going to get that, ever.
Doesn't matter.
I just think if the alternative is blurry, pixelated, noisy photo, or the alternative is, okay, I don't even try to take a picture because it's going to look like crap, then there's nothing wrong with superimposing things that you know for a fact are there. Let them zoom in on Mars. Let them zoom in on Jupiter. This is all fabrication. This is all
of it then? Like,
that's been gone for years, is my point. There's no humanity in the smartphone camera. It's all fabricated. It's all
so you're
deep
saying
fusion,
if you
neural
want
nets,
an authentic form of reality captured, you buy yourself like a giant Sony camera or Nikon or something like that.
If you want a more accurate viewpoint of how light is captured, yeah, the smartphones aren't accurate. Like, they're so post-processed, like crazy. Like, years and years of neural net training, and night mode is doing AI guessery to stitch a bunch of things together, and
Sure.
we have subject lift where you lift things right out, and people edit. They do face filters all the time. Like Randy's talking beauty gate, we try to smooth out faces, or we try to make them look brighter, or we try to add bokeh. That bokeh's not real. That's all fake. That's all just added because it makes it look more like some other camera. And I'm like, this is all fakery trickery anyway. So the idea that, well, that's not real, is like, well, where are we drawing straws here? Like, where do we decide what is and isn't real? The option is there for you to take a cinematic video or portrait mode video, or you can choose not to. Mm-hmm. So I see no harm in the option, which I haven't seen anyone, Huawei or Samsung, saying like we mandate that feature, like you can't turn it off. It's just meant to. It's a gimmick. I think space zoom is a gimmick, like so trying to get that close of the moon and compare. Well, this one's a little more pixelated. I'm like, just go all out. Just apply the highest resolution document you got on that. And no one's really zooming in on the sun right now because they know that picture's going to look like crap. But maybe if it activates this little Easter egg type feature where it looks really legit and then it adjusts the exposure and it says astro mode instead of macro mode, add some things in. Yeah, it's gimmicky. It's kind of stupid, but it's cool. That's what phones are now. They're gimmicky, come up with little Easter egg, like, oh, that's kind of cool. They tweak. So I just don't look at it as we're defending like the humanity of it, I guess. Like we said goodbye to that a while ago.
Okay.
This is a way more better conversation than T-Mobile. Thank God. I actually thought this podcast was going to be crap. Hey, check it out. So, in reverse order, the photo I took that is in the chat, we could put this up for the YouTube video. Which
one? The real moon?
Well, all three. It's a sequence. I want to demonstrate something here. So okay. The last photo in the text is the first stage of it. I took the photo and then it was processed. Then I went in and I did some color grading to make it more huey the way it is right there. Mm-hmm. And I saw the moon and that was a little pixely thing. And that is not what my eyes saw. So then I went in later, like a year later, and I threw the moon one, the one that's up there now, the first one, and I put that moon there. All right. Like
Huawei was inspired by Randy.
So I took this photo like January of 2021. And then by I think sometime last year, I went in and I put the thing there because I was going to use it. I am using this as a banner. I think on Bandcamp or something. It's just there. It's a photo I took. I like it. And I wanted to emulate what my eye was seeing as best as possible. And at the time, this photo was shot on the 12 Mini. The 12 Mini was no way in heck going to give me any type of detail about what the moon was at that point. So I flubbed. I enhanced the thing. The same way I color corrected it. That's me flubbing. The photo on all these photos, even the original photo, the ground was not that dark. I took that photo at the mountain that we were at, Drew. That's where we saw the sunrise.
Okay.
Same location, different area. But just to give you context, you're not that high off the ground that you can't see the houses down below, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's how it processed because of the exposure being, the dynamic range isn't the best. So it looks the way it does, and that's the original photo for it because I had to choose between a better looking sky or a fuzzy sky, and the ground would be more lit up. So I chose sky because that's what I wanted to capture. But the photo of the moon is just a little white dot. It looked like maybe a pixel had burned out or something. So it's just there. And it wasn't until afterwards I'm like, let me to kind of emphasize that a little bit because I like it. And that was what I wanted to do. I show you this process because if there was a way that this was just automated for me, it's the same result. I took the photo with the intent, I want to use this for something. Whenever I do scenic shots, it is my intent. I want to use it for something. Promo, banner, who knows, who cares? But what I do know is if I'm going to use the photo for something, which most of the time it is, I want the best version of this location to provoke the emotion I want to portray. I took this around the same time I filmed the Twilight music video. Actually, it was the same day as the Twilight music video. So hence, I was going for more of a Twilight environment. And based off of the final photo that you see there and the first photo, very different. It's two very different images to me about imagery and conveying a message or story. I went in and I did all this stuff just because I wanted that type of granular control. But if there's an AI filter that would allow me to do that automatically, like, you gotta sell cameras or you gotta sell software, you gotta sell something. And if that's something that we can be into, like, I don't think we're drawing the line at moonshots in a very literal sense, but maybe more broadly, I don't think we're drawing the line at auto enhancements when we are living in a world of AI processed everything, which AI is just the buzzword. We've been calling it different things. Computer generated, algorithmic. It's all these same buzzwords saying the same thing, that whatever our base principle is that we provide, it gets amplified. It all gets amplified. And you might, maybe, I hope the audience can understand this. I don't know if it happened during your guys' debate, but you guys are conveying the same message, just in different perspectives, but it's the same intent. At the end of the day, it's about preservation of a moment in time of why we take the photo. And we're just looking at it from different perspectives of it, but at the end of the day, it's about preservation of that photo, about that memory. I look at that photo, and what you don't see, but my memory is to the left of me, Nick is right there taking a photo with me. And he had his Sony A6400 or whatever, and he's doing his own thing too. But this guy is trying to shoot in RAW and do the exact same thing I'm doing. And the challenge it's like, oh, let's see who can, pop. I took 17 photos. What you got there, Nick? Yeah. So that, like, I have a memory looking at that photo, and I don't think. The cynic side of me says we're really blowing it out of proportion because there's no news, there's no Apple scandal, there's nothing going on.
I think it's a really interesting debate, to be honest.
Agreed.
I thought Mike brought up great points about what, like, the hobbyist wanting to capture it himself against a professional. I see it as still just a different method of capturing that memory. Mm-hmm. It requires a bit more input points, but I think a lot of people, especially outside of the tech community, probably wouldn't know and would just experience a better end result.
I will tell you,
and I don't see a flaw in that.
I can confidently tell you, any artist in any caliber will understand this, and I know you guys have experienced this in your own perspective, art expression. Outside of you, no one is going to give it a second thought longer than the first glance at something. They won't look at the meticulous detail that you're putting into something unless you emphasize where you draw attention to it. I can't tell you how many times I've done this with photos. I've done this with music. I've done this with skits. I do it with Easter eggs. I just say, and majority of the people, the audience or whoever you're presenting to, they just won't care. They'll be like, oh, hey, look, moon, cool. Without telling you the backstory about me and Nick, they would have been like, oh, hey, look. There's the moon, sunset, whatever. Okay, fine. City, that's cool. Oh, hey, look, the sky. Maybe they'll look at like, oh, look, that's a cool sky. Done. It took maybe a second at most and moved on to the next thing. And that's how people, swiping or stories or scrolling. Like, that's what it is.
It's all makeup.
We're not going to emphasize anything about, like, is that a real moon? Is that a fake moon? I can promise you, out of respect to everyone's photography skills, I never pixel peep to be like, wait a minute. Well, is that really there? I don't care. I get the overall message of the image being presented, and then I move on. And that's that.
And to clarify, I'm not anti enhancing your photo. I think adding stuff to it, like what Randy did, is a great idea. It definitely makes a statement. It makes great art. And I think people should be able to do with what they want with their photo. I just don't think we should go all in to where, like, we've already made all these, like, the AI or machine learning for your cameras already made all these pre-edits that you can't undo, like the moon, like big objects in a way. Like, I get, like, changing the lighting here, augmenting this, rotoscoping that, and all that. I totally get that, but like just superimposing a whole other object in there that you cannot remove or change. Well, I guess you can change in post, but like you change it with negative space that was there before. But you get what I'm trying to say is that
I do.
I don't want us to go too far to the point where you point your phone at a wall and it just becomes like it adds in everything, and all of a sudden you have like the most amazing YouTube thumbnail just from like taking a picture of a stucco wall or whatever. Like, what? Like, I just wanted a picture of the wall for like insurance purposes because maybe like there's holes in it from like a squirrel or rat or something like that. But no, instead it added a little mouse coming out of it and then fireworks right next to it, all that. Like, okay, cool. This doesn't help.
There's a line.
This doesn't help my insurance claim. Yeah. So that's why I'm trying to get at is that I don't want us to cross a line to where it just we abandon all of humanity at this point. Preservation of something is, I guess, what I'm trying to get at, versus just augment reality everything to where you can't look at the moon unless you're wearing Reality OS or having Reality OS superimpose everything else onto you, or else it's just ugly and life is just terrible and you need to stay in the VR system 24/7. I guess is
Mike,
what I'm trying to get at.
I want to give
the
you
VR guy.
I will give you.
I'll get onto that in a second.
To your credit, Mike, I threw a few bones to Drew. I'm going to give one to you. There shouldn't be such an emphasis on these enhancements for the same statement I made just a moment ago. No one's going to pay second mind anyway. They're not going to be like, wait a minute, whoa. And that looks great. Or they'll be like, it is what, like, you sent the photo of the eclipse happening, and by looking at it, I was like that's an eclipse, and I already saw what I was, and I moved on imagery wise to the next whatever. So maybe that same statement can be added where instead of me putting all that time, I can make a case I put a year's worth of time about making that photo that no one ever cares about ever again. This is the most I've ever talked about that photo. Instead of doing that, if I would have just taken the first original photo, did it, post it, whatever, has the same effect. It'd be like, oh, hey, look, it's a pretty sky, it's sunset or whatever. And then same case can be made about without messing with these auto enhancements that, like, if you're presenting it, as long as you're not like, if I didn't take that sky photo and been like, hey, did you guys see the worm on the ground? Wait a minute, what? Like, if I completely did something really wrong and I'm trying to show you something else and all your takeaway was sunset, then I messed up completely. So as long as we're not that far ahead, maybe the overkill aspect of it, don't have to be as bad. But what Drew's saying, I would say the fair compromise, toggle it the same way night mode's a toggle. Just, okay, on, off, whatever, it's the same way you could
It's another gimmick. We got lots of gimmicks these days, and that one honestly sounds kind of funny. I think it's the tech community's reaction basically could be summarized by that's cheating, which I find
that's hypocritical.
Like, that's cheating because it looks really good, but it didn't get it the way I want it to get it. Is like, if it can be faked that easily, then it's probably not that impressive of a technology in the first place. It's like, if it's that easy to replicate, which is why I say the line is don't superimpose things that aren't there. If you superimpose things that are there, you're just using different data to confirm that it's there. I think it's okay. I think it'd be kind of hilarious to do the, like, check out my new phone. Look how well it can see the moon. You zoom in and then you can see all this extreme detail. It's like, dang, are the everyday people looking at that gonna think,
do you want to see my skin cells?
Cheating. Yeah, right. Or are they gonna think that's cheating? Or are they gonna go, wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really honest with you. I don't use real strings in my songs. My music is not using an orchestra.
Oh my god!
What a farce that you've been living this whole time.
I'm cheating.
Shame on you, Randy.
Those aren't actually acoustic drums that I have set up off frame here. That is coming from the computer. I might be cheating. I just want to put that. I just want to
give me your musician license. You don't deserve it anymore. My father made that license.
I mean, the funniest thing about it is I could totally see Apple even doing it, Samsung or whoever doing it. Actually, probably because of the backlash now, Apple will never do it. But the side by side, they could be like, here's the Galaxy S23, here's the S24, and it's like blurry shot of moon, and then like 4K shot of moon, and it's like, see how much better it looks? And it's like, yeah, you could technically add that software feature to any old phone. So I think maybe that's why people are upset, is because just the solution to the problem is really disappointing and kind of not that technically impressive. They're like, oh, who cares? Like that's easy. Anything can do that. It's like, so you just want it. You just want to pay a bunch of money and get that result. If it results in saving a bunch of money and getting that result, it's less impressive. It's like, no, I need it to do it this particular way. But I just feel like inherently that particular way of trying to stuff a periscope lens on a tiny phone like that, it's always going to be flawed against just pulling from memory.
Sure.
So
I think at that point you get the one smartphone that has the lens mount on it and then call it a day.
Yeah.
Or just buy yourself a Sony.
Yeah.
I want to end this podcast ending it on some Apple news. And I don't know if this is supposed to be public knowledge, but screw it. You had to be outdone and beat Drew. Nick just got an iPhone 5S running iOS 7.
Oh, wonderful.
So
I didn't know that.
Now talk about...
I would really be curious to hear Nick's perspective on all this, because he edits his photos. He'll move rockets and stuff.
He cheats.
I said me his license too then. Why are you all cheating?
Because he wants to capture a better looking moon. Funny enough, he's cheated with the moon. He superimposed the moon like a. He has a silhouette of a guy running over the and he somehow got right in the middle of the moon. That shot is completely faked. The person running was a true image, and the moon is an image. But he did some buffoonery, and when I caught this is a 2-year-old conversation. When I said, "Hey, you cheated," or like, "Why'd you do that?" That's not a thing. He's like, well, he actually has a more philosophical stance on this. It's like, well, what the eyes see and the ears hear, the mind believes. He basically said that.
Yeah, my viewpoint on it is if you can fake it really well to the point that the end user doesn't know, they can't see. Obviously, it'd be really bad if, like, Randy took that picture of the night sky and they put, a Death Star up there, or they
that
put
would be
just
best photo ever.
Really flat
That's
white
no
PNG.
Moon.
It doesn't match the white balance of the photo. They just moon. If it looks bad, if it looks photoshopped, then I'm going to turn that off, and I'm not going to say it's a good feature. But if you can fake it really well to where the consumer can't tell, that's when it's like, yeah, I think people are just going to result in higher quality shots that are more impressive, and how it was achieved. Yeah. I don't think they care. They just think, wow, my phone took a good picture. But yeah, that's funny that he cheats on his own as well. But it does result. He takes really good pictures.
Now, I don't know. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to rat him out on something, because why stop now? There's a photo of one of the, because he doesn't really do it with the Starship stuff, but he does cheat about, I think once again it was the moon. He's all about frame. He cheats when it helps the framing. He had something with the rocket, and there's something in the foreground, so he needed something in the background, and he went in and he moved the moon to be more aligned because it had a better shot. Maybe it was something that was like center straight up, and
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, if that is the one where it's like a straight up. He moved that. He went in and he adjusted it. Same shot from the day. It's the same. He just went from here to the center, and that's it.
Yeah,
but he got the shot he wanted.
But I think we all agree. Just like the. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to my point, he had the original photo so that he could edit it. Versus it already generates the photo that you wanted, but you didn't know that you want until you got it. But then, anyways, just my point.
Just like,
exactly.
I think we're all in agreement on that. Just like you have the macro toggle on the newer iPhones, You want a way to deactivate it. You can let me know if you are superimposing. You could have, instead of the little flower, you could get a little star or something that shows up in the corner that says superimposing.
That's very Apple. I like that.
Yeah, there's just a little icon that says, hey, I'm adding in some detail that we know is there, but we're getting it from stored memory. You can just deactivate that if you want the raw-ish photo. I still think it's using Deep Fusion and stuff, but yeah, superimposing without the way to turn it off, that might be a reason to not buy the phone or to be mad at it, or to use another great solution, third-party camera app. Download a different app and take it with that. And then maybe that third-party app, the DuckDuckGo of cameras, can say, we don't superimpose the moon. Your shots will look worse and real and more human.
Ryan Reynolds here.
It's like,
wow. Want a worse
that
photo?
looks terrible.
Hey.
Yeah, it's a fascinating subject though of like what is real, how do you define it? Google does some
Morpheus.
interesting trickery.
What is real? How do you define real? Is it
on the ultra wide, on the Pixel? They take.
Do you think that's air you're breathing?
Yeah, they take on the Pixel. They take 2 camera shots from the ultra wide and the main sensor, and the center portion of the ultra wide they replace with the main sensor so that it's sharper than what the ultra wide would capture. They do all kinds of little stitches like that. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I like it. Use some tricks, use some fakery to result in a better picture. Whatever you got to do. It's probably less impressive and maybe it comes across as more gimmicky, but I think it'd be kind of cool to be like, okay, someone's pointing the phone at the night sky and they're zooming in on things. We can either just grain out and all noise can't get enough detail, or we can say, okay, they want to know what that star is, or they want to know what that is. Let's start helping by saying, here's what that star
here's
is.
Here's a Starlink satellite. Here's a Starlink satellite. Here's a Starlink
satellite.
Here's a Starlink
That's like
satellite.
the night sky app already does this.
Yeah, just do that.
Basically in favor of overlaying the night sky feature into the camera app, because the alternative is you just take a really, really blurry, noisy photo that no one would really want to look at. So it's like, might as well just, hey, what satellite is that? Just like how you don't need a separate app for the QR code, you can just scan a QR code with the regular camera app. Let's build the night sky into the camera app so that you can look up what satellite is that, what planet is that, what star is that. And some people don't like that, I guess, but hey, I'm using an iPhone 10. Keep your old tech that doesn't superimpose stuff if you don't like it. I think it's all fair game in my opinion.
Agreed.
I mean,
but
yeah,
it's cool.
To
it's
those
cool stuff.
that, I guess, maybe as the last note, and I kind of teased it earlier, to those that want to fight me with, well, Mike, you have a VR system that you're in probably all the time when you're not on camera or you're not working, that you're playing with, and you're in this alternate reality. Those are fake images. You're not actually, like, slicing blocks with energy swords. You're not running around a post-apocalyptic world with robots and all that. I got rid of the PSVR
Yes, he is.
2.
Oh,
It's gone.
It's gone. I returned it. One, because I think it was defective because it kept on wigging out on games. 2, it made me really sick every single time I put it on.
No.
Enough to where like I'd either do like 5 to 10 minute increments to 30-minute increments to hour increments, and every time for I think the 2 weeks that I owned it, I kept on getting sick. It may be like a duration thing where I have to subject myself to it for like a year and I get used to it, but I don't have
these games are going to be really good, guys. Trust me.
I don't mean that. I mean, you're actually like
in the shower, in bed.
That, and then also the fact that adjusting it on my head was always a chore every single time I wanted to play something. It was just like 10 minutes of just like, is this better? No. Is this better? No.
Wow.
It was just 10
Do you think
minutes.
it was because it was defective that it was making you sick, or did that part feel like it was working?
I think that was added on at some points. It could have been. I'm not too sure. But just the combination of trying to get it adjusted so that I was getting the clearest image possible onto my retinas and then playing a game, whether it was playing GT7, where I'm in a car and I'm looking around. That's all basically you can do. If you don't have a steering wheel and pedals, you're just that with a controller. You don't even get to use
just wear it in the Tesla and drive.
Oh, hell no.
That would be kind of cool.
Steer-by-wire is basically that at this point. We'll get into that later. But what I'm getting at is, VR, pretty cool, fun gimmick, but at least for the PSVR 2 that I owned, was not for me. Maybe I'll try an Oculus in the future, but at least with things going on in my life, PSVR 2 is not the best fit, both physically and also in time-wise, doesn't fit in right with everything that's going on. But long story short, pretty cool looking thing. I don't think it's a revolutionary step in VR yet. I think the controllers definitely help, but at least the headset hardware wasn't something that I was super impressed by. But also, it's a launch day product with titles that aren't like the best of the best. Like, it's not like you're getting, I don't know, God of War Ragnarok on day one with the PS5 or anything like that. Like, you got that many cycles into the PS5. Anyways, just wanted to note that as well.
I'm sorry it was a disappointment. I know you were excited for that.
Does this mean I won the debate that what is VR fixing or what's
No. I think my statements still stand from that episode, is that it's
so
another way to view art and all of that and to experience a different thing. It's just my body was rejecting it, either for software reasons or
your body is
biological
not wrong,
reasons.
Right? Yeah.
So,
I mean, your body couldn't handle the art.
I feel like VR is the 3D curved screen TV equivalent.
3D curve.
It's funny because off to the side right here that's lighting me is a curved screen, but I guess it's not a 3D screen. So it is actually very thematically hilarious. But
well, hearing your reaction to trying it and returning it, I hope they give you the full refund and everything.
They should be. I still haven't received it yet, but I'm pretty sure it made it. I'd have to check.
Watch out.
Run by T-Mobile.
You gotta call the number. Don't text them.
Yeah, right. Don't text.
Right, and then they charge me more money later, and then I'm like, what?
This does not give me hope for Apple Reality Pro. It's the more I'm hearing about it.
It makes me more curious,
Stop.
honestly.
What are you talking
After
about?
that experience, I'm more interested in what Apple's version of Reality Pro or whatever it is will be, and how it will stand up against PSVR 2 or my very short time with an Oculus Quest 2, in which maybe I'll jump into later this year if I am so interested and I have the funds for, but we'll see.
It'll probably be a lot lighter. Your wallet, not the headset. But
wait,
it'll be lighter.
For Quest or for Reality
the
Pro?
Apple Reality Pro, yeah.
It'll
it's
be
like,
lighter.
how are you going to do this right? But
who knows?
Anyway, thank you all for tuning in for this very action-packed episode.
It was surprisingly action-packed for the amount of mundane.
I feel like there's like 3 tech podcasts in this episode.
I like it pretty much.
Maybe we should do the second half next week or something. We'll just spread it out.
Maybe. We'll see.
All right. Thanks all. We'll see you next month. Bye.
Whenever we see you next. Bye.